Harmonic snack number 26. Full disclosure, I'm going to talk about giant steps today. But that being said, this isn't a tutorial on how to play giant steps. There's lots of that out there. And so you can check that out. Maybe one day I'll do that. I'm not quite sure. But this is just a continuation on thirds and sevenths. And the reason I'm picking giant steps is just because it's really hard. And because it's hard, thirds and sevenths are an important way to navigate this. And it's a good way to test yourself if you can do thirds and sevenths. Now, this giant step song was released in 1960. And it was, at that time, it was really crazy. I wasn't born yet, but it was probably crazy because it's unlike a lot of the jazz songs that were getting played. Now, obviously with jazz, there's going to be a lot of key changes. But generally speaking, the key changes are like sort of like in the vicinity of the home key. So, I mean, if you were in C, for example, it might switch keys to like F or maybe G or something like that, right? Like neighboring keys. And that's because the secondary dominant chords function well as ways to do key changes, right? So that's why when this song came out, it sort of knocked people out. And it was, like I said, released in 1960. It's all 2-5-1s and 5-1s. The problem here, there's several problems, but the one problem here is that the keys are far apart. The keys are E flat, G, and B, and those are major thirds apart, all of them. So it's kind of crazy. They're not neighboring keys at all. And also, the other problem is that the tempo is really fast. I'm not going to demonstrate it, or I'm not going to play it today at Coltrane's tempo, because that's like, I don't know, 240 or 250 or something crazy, something really fast. I'm going to do it more like 180 or something like that, which is still kind of challenging. Also, one reason why this is a hard song to solo over is because it doesn't go like 2-5-1, 2-5-1, 2-5-1, which would make it easier. It's really, the changes are sort of, they come in strange times, right? I mean, the first chord is, I'll post it up here, B flat major, right? Now, if you look, that's the 2-5-1 of the last measure, right? So that's kind of normal. But then it goes, then it goes 5-1 in G, and it goes 5-1 in E flat. And then it goes 2-5-1 in G, and then it goes 5-1 in E flat, 5-1 in B. And then the rest is mostly 2-5s in those keys, okay? So those first, 8 bars are kind of crazy. They sort of are really hard to function. Of course, there's different ways you can do it. Coltrane has a lot of interesting techniques that he played. But it's just a hard song, and it's a good it's whether you like it or not. A lot of jazz musicians don't really like it. They think it's just like musical math or something. It sort of is, but it's challenging. And if you want to test your metal as a soloist, this is sort of one of the things that people test themselves with this song. Okay. Now, famously, if you listen to the recording, Tommy Flanagan played piano. I guess he walked into the studio with and then they give him the charts because he really struggled on it, the poor guy. And that just shows how hard it was, right? But this is like, I kind of call this song, the 4-Minute Mile song, because once it was released, a lot of people copied it. And some of the versions are even crazier than this one, right? So, but once it was done, a lot of people were able to do it, right? And, so, I mean, it's just one of those songs that I don't know if it's the most important song to learn for repertoire, but it's still a good song to work on because it tests your ability to play through changes, okay? So remember, this is not a tutorial on how to play giant steps. This is just about thirds and sevenths. I'm gonna play a little chord melody too, and that's kind of will help you too. I mean, to be able to play this song, if you're playing it in a trio or something. Okay, so I'm gonna play it like this, the chord melody. the only sort of these are all sort of normal chords. Just a lot of 6/9s, 13s, major 7, 13. Um, that's why it's kind of cool because John used a lot of like the upper notes as melody notes, right? The only kind of weird thing that I do that might be sort of interesting to try is this F minor 9. I play like this. The reason I do it here and not on the other ones is just because I'm getting tendonitis these days, and for me to do this, it kind of hurts my wrist. So I'm going to play it that way, okay? Now, next, remember we're working on thirds and sevenths. You should be getting good at this by now. So for starters, like I always suggest, like, move to different strings, but at first start maybe on the middle strings, the fourth and the third string. So if you can see the chords. Right? So let me play that. Okay, so that was pretty cool, right? So next, you want to move these to the next set of strings up, like the third and the second strings. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so let's try that one now. Kind of hard, right? But that's why we do it, right? Because in this song it's hard. If you just like we're playing normal jazz, if you just remember the shapes of the 2-5-1s, it's easy, right? But because it jumps around so much, and it's not always 2-5-1s, sometimes it's 5-1s. This is challenging. You got to use your head a little bit while you're doing it, So I mean, you could do it slow first. I would. I mean, I practiced a little bit. I can't lie to you. So it's not like I'm just doing this right off the top of my head, and you shouldn't be able to either. If you can, got to hand it to you. You're a good musician, so you have to just work it out a little bit, right? And but do it with a lot of different songs, and that's how you get good at it. Okay. Anyway, so but this comes in handy because it teaches you how to sort of target those important chord tones, the thirds and the sevenths. Now, granted, you can certainly just use these alone at certain points. You don't want to do it all the time. This isn't the best way to solo, but when you need to catch your breath and you need to sort of, rethink about what you're going to do next, this is a good way to give yourself a little bit of time without just completely stopping. Okay, so let me try that, and I'll try to mix up like a sort of normal solo in these thirds and sevenths a little bit. Okay, don't judge me. Ooh, that was pretty hard, man. I don't know about you, that was hard for me, but this is a good way to get some of those changes when you sort of run out of strategies or something, right? But it's also important because it teaches you how to target those important notes. Okay, so I think that's probably all I'm going to do for thirds and sevenths for the time being. But I suggest you just open up the real book and you try a lot of these songs, just playing thirds and sevenths. Test yourself on different songs every day, and it's a really good exercise. I said it in the first one that I wish that I had done this when I was younger, because teachers always told me to do it, and it just seemed too much for me. I didn't want to think about it. I just wanted to play stuff, right? So, but I learned later that this is really, really important. So I'm going to suggest that you do this and you leave a comment. Remember, if you want the PDF, you go to Patreon and you can get that, right? It's $5 a month at Patreon. It's not that much money, but it helps me to make these videos better. Let me know how it goes. Leave a comment or a suggestion. If you join up on Patreon, you can give me some advice on like stuff that you want to learn. Okay, so I'm always open to new ideas. All right, so have a nice day.